Black Pen, where we celebrate the power of writing. I'm your host, Diane Johnson. I'm an author, writer, and educator. Please help me welcome my co-host, Robert Greer.
Hi, writers. It's a great morning to actually talk about writing, to think about where we are as a community in writing. And I just want to truly just welcome all our listeners and our audience that are viewing us, just to encourage our motto here at the Black Pen Podcast, is to encourage authors and writers to speak your voice, to tell your truth, and to share your story. So we're looking forward to today's content and today's guest. Of course, you guys see him right here. And poetry, I would say, has always been a way for people to tell their stories in their communities, also express their truths. And their voices it's challenging sometimes for it to be heard.
Right.
And for us, it's great to have independent processors or local literary advocates that play a crucial role. And that's exactly who we have here today. So, Ms. Diane, who do we have here today?
We have here today Jason Blakely.
Yes.
Welcome to the show. And we're just going to get right into it. And Jason, just tell us a little bit about you and what you do and why you love to write.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Writing for me is soul cleansing. So if I'm feeling something or I feel someone else is feeling something, I have a duty to get that writing out there, to get those feelings out there, to get those experiences out there. So that's where it stems from for me, is getting what I'm feeling or what someone else is feeling who might not be able to speak it out.
Okay. So what's your process like when you're writing, your routine?
So just to sit and think. It could be a song lyric. It could be a person on the corner with a sign. It could be a child crying. It could be anything. So inspiration is all around.
Yeah.
And to be able to put myself in that person's shoes for that moment. And that's really it. I'm inspired by a lot of different things. Wheels are always going in my mind. Sometimes I have to try to shut those off because it can be overwhelming at times. But
does that work for you?
Just to be here, just to be able to feel a moment, to feel a situation, and just get the art, get the words, get the feelings, get the thoughts out there.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you normally write alone, or are you in writing groups?
I write alone, but I do need to connect with some of the writing groups that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about the publishing. How did you get into publishing your works?
Well, I hand wrote a binder full of poems. It was 427 poems.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you know what? I'm going to get this writing out there. Someone's going to publish it. And I submitted it. And I got a rejection letter back. Didn't have my name on it. Didn't have anything really about the work that I submitted. And I said, you know what? They don't understand me. They didn't take the time to ask any questions,
Mm-hmm.
to give any feedback. I said, I'm going to create something for people like me.
Right.
And that's where it started. The publishing company started.
Okay. Now, I just hear the passion in your voice, as you mentioned, as advocacy. So, how important is it, do you believe, as far as artists or authors to tell their story? How involved or what type of, I would say, what is the level of importance for them to be able to express or be an advocate for others as far as being a writer? So being able to tell your truth, being able to shape how the community goes, mention things that are happening in the world. How important is that to you as far as writing?
It's very important. Just using myself as an example, coming from a place, a neighborhood, a family where you are told, or maybe not told, but modeled, you go have a seat in the corner somewhere. We don't care about what you say or how you feel.
Okay.
And knowing I have this, I feel this, I need a positive way of getting this energy out. And trying to put it in a way where other people can recognize it
Mm-hmm.
and give value to it And I think a lot of times as artists, we rely on other people to give value to the things that we experience, that we feel. If we first value what we have gone through and know that it's real, know that it's us, but it's also not just us, and connect with other people out there, that's when you say, okay, I can do this. And then you realize it's not just about you. There are people who are willing to back you, support you, and move what you're doing forward, and you bring other people along with you. And I think that's really important in today's times when things are being kind of shut off, shut down. As a group of people, your experience is not valid. It's not real. Your history is not real. The things that you have dealt with are not real, but it is real. And to have a group who is serious about having people who look like me get their voices out, paramount.
Yeah, that's I mean, it's I'm inspired by that too. I think we all feel the same way,
Right.
because we were talking before we got started just about how like artists in Akron, like how we all need to band together, you know, to be have a commonality about what we would like people to see from us. So like a persona from artists in Akron that will be uplifting for our community and attract people to our city, because there's so many amazing artists that are here, so many amazing voices that we have. And it's difficult sometimes, it feels like, to get us all together. So what is something, how has that been for you as, being an advocate for bringing people together and allowing people to share their voices? What's that like for you? Or there are some difficulties or challenges that you've had with that?
Yes. I see potential in people and in places and in things. And I'm thinking, why can't we just come together, unify, and make these things happen? In my mind, it's super easy. Let's get together. Let's talk about the things that we want to see done. And then when it's time for action, it's totally different. And I'm like, it's not that hard. You have my number, let's email or call. You have my email, let's set something in motion. But it's frustrating because I know what we have here in the city. I see it. I work with it. I'm around it. I meet people who have these wonderful ideas. And it's community changing, it's neighborhood changing, it's life changing. If we could combine everything and everyone that we have that are willing to make it work. But there are people that don't want to see it work. And I kind of get caught up on that sometimes. I'm like, why can't we just work together? And I don't have the answer to that. And I think what I have to do is let that part go, continue to do what I'm doing and work with the people that want to work with me, and God will bring it together.
Well, you've had a lot of success with your poetry slams, and creating, curating spaces for poets and writers to come together and express their voice and everything. How do you feel about that?
It's wonderful. It's life-giving to me. I bring my wife, I bring my kids. Working with community partners to bring poetry in space that it wasn't before is interesting, because people are like, wow, I didn't know this was going on. How can I be a part? How can I help? Whether that's time, money, energy, people out there, there's a wanting for it. People want to be a part of it. And that's the most exciting part for me, is to see people's excitement about, the possibility of what could happen here.
Now, you've been creating in these spaces for quite a while for your poetry slam. How long have you been doing this?
Since 1998 is when I started writing and being able to bring writing or poetry to the community. So it's been a while.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a lot of challenges today in the publishing world, and a lot of people are going with self-publishing. We have a lot of writers that are still, trying to find a way how to publish your work and stuff. What can you tell us today about some of the challenges you see that writers are facing in trying to get their work published?
we want to be, as artists, we want to be in a moment where we could say, I've done this or I've done that, or held to a very high standard or accepted. Traditional publishing was that route, was that way. If I have my book published by one of the big three, I've arrived.
Right.
But a lot of times those doors are closed to people like us or people whose ideas don't fit what they want to put out on the market. And so when I decided to create Poetry is Life Publishing, I said, this is going to be something for people who don't fit that criteria.
That's good.
And it's going to be real. It's going to be raw. It's going to put people in position to say how they feel in a way where the door is not going to be shut on them. And it's a challenge to the publishing community. It's a challenge to those who have that mindset. Well, who are you? Who are you to create this, or who are you to create that, or who are you to do this? Well, I'm here, we're here, and this is what it is. This is what we're going to do. And do it in a professional way, in a respectful way.
Yeah.
And in a way that opens doors for people to say, okay, I can do that, or I can do this, or let's work together to make this happen.
Okay. Well, with that being said, though, are there any like voices or stories that you look for in publishing? Or, I mean, because it sounds like for me that you just mentioned, like, people's creativity, you want that to be brought to the forefront. You want people's imagination to be brought out in their work. So are there any voices or anything that you look for specifically as far as publishing that people should know about?
I look for people who are authentic to who they are, stories that necessarily wouldn't get told in a traditional space as far as publishing goes.
Okay.
There was a lady who was dealing with cancer, and I had an open mic event at Open Neighborhood Center. This was early 2000s. And she saw a flyer of mine. Fast forward, she wanted to do a book. It was February 9th, I want to say 2006.
Okay.
Pittsburgh played, Seattle, tons of snow outside. But I rode my bike from southwest side of Akron to Arlington Road because she wanted to see, my work or what I could do. And she decided to work with me not because of what I could do, but because of the determination that I had to go from where I was to meet her in that situation.
Yeah.
And her work was about the Lord. It was about her struggle with cancer, her struggle with growing up in foster care. And those seem to be the stories of people who I gravitate to or who gravitate to me.
Okay. Yeah, that's powerful.
Good. That's good. So we have a lot of people writing about their own personal journey as far as their health and healing, and also about their faith. And I see a lot in what you write with your poems reflecting your life experiences and stuff like that. So how would you want people to interpret your poetry?
Wow. Someone who never thought about that before. Someone who is real, someone who is open and honest, and someone who cares about helping other people get to a point where they can be their best self. Whether that's in their art, whether that's in their family, whether that's in their community, and always looking to bring other people along. I would say that.
Okay. And what role does poetry play in capturing this, like presenting personal and cultural narratives, especially in our community? What role does it play to you as far as poetry?
The role, I think a lot of people don't take how serious their voice is. It's more than just a sound, whether that's in front of a microphone or from in front of a computer. You could be having a day that's really, really down, and I walk by you and I say, "Have a good day."
Yep.
Something so simple as that. I don't think that we take as serious that interaction, that voice. So poetry plays that for me. It's saying hello to someone. It's saying I love you to someone, but it's also calling out the system. It's also letting people know that they can make it from however low that they feel or however low that they've been to a place where they can stand in front of the mirror and say, I am worthy of everything that I want, and I'm going to get that. And anyone that wants to come along with me, let's go. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, that resonates with me for sure. Like being in the mirror and giving yourself affirmation. And the one thing that you mentioned, humanity is like the topic of conversation when you say like, hi, how are you? How you doing? Or a simple smile when you walk past. So I see how that translates to poetry because people read it or they see you do spoken word and then they're like, wow, just the aura about you or the way that it makes them feel or it triggers something for them that they've thought about in their life that either brings them some kind of great memories or they have to relive some kind of emotion. But I think that's the poetry for me. It does that. It brings me alive, when I read poetry or other people's perspectives and point of views. So I can appreciate that from you for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, just different way of writing, bringing about sound and rhythm to your words and stuff where you're able to create that painting through your words and everything like that. So what would you advise aspiring writers, the next poet?
I would tell them to be themselves, challenge themselves to get to know who they are as a person and write in that. If you have been through some sort of childhood trauma or family issues, learn who you are in that. Use art as a way to heal from those things, to deal with those things on a daily basis. And just not to be someone who lets life overwhelm them because as each person has so much to give to the world.
Right.
So much. And once, that person is not here, I'm sorry about the mic. They're not there, but we just have so much within us to give. And I would tell that to the young people coming up and to the older folks. Don't give up on who you are and becoming the best version of yourself because we are needed, you are needed and loved.
So how often do you write, like the discipline in writing, taking that time out to set aside and say, hey, bye, everybody. I got to steal away some time so I can really concentrate because we all have families
It's hard.
or friends or, that total busyness in our life that can distract us from getting the job done, especially when you have set a goal to complete and have something ready to be published, to make that goal to say, hey, I got this book, everything is down in here that I want. What type of discipline do Jason have in getting that goal done or reaching that goal?
In my mind, I'm always writing. I'm always thinking. So I write on newspaper. I write on bills. I write on whatever I can get my hands on at the time.
It's not here.
Crayons, whatever. If I have a thought I need to get down. So it's 24/7. I wake up in the middle of the night and I type something on my phone or write it down. I was thinking back, my daughter's 14, going to be 15 soon. And I spend a lot of time upstairs in the attic, designing and doing those things. And I was thinking how much of that time I could have spent with her. And she was just, a baby, but just trying to balance work and life and your art and just you. Sometimes we need to just sit down and do nothing, but sometimes we need to sit down and write and be creative. So it's always going on with me. It never stops.
Okay,
Never stops.
So you don't have a particular space. You just a writer on the go.
Well,
Okay.
I can appreciate that too.
Appreciate that
from
too.
if your mind is always constantly thinking, then
Mm.
you never know what you will want to miss. I imagine it's the fear of missing out, right? Of what you might be thinking. So you got to write that thing down.
Yeah, yeah, I understand that.
Okay. Well, in that vein, I'm curious, and I'm pretty sure like our listeners and viewers would be too. So, what was your turning point as a writer, where you got to the point where you were like, "This is it for me"? Because a lot of us maybe have not got to that point yet, where we
Right.
don't feel like, "Well, I'm a writer."
Mhm.
What happened in your life or in your career where you're like, "Yes,
Yeah.
this is my voice. This is how I want to express it, and this is who I'm going to be."
It was when I received the rejection letter going back to the publishing company.
Mhm.
There was a teacher, ninth grade English class. Her name was Miss Stewart, and she suggested that I write a poem on. There was a paper on the billboard,
Okay.
and she said, "I think you might be good at this." And so I entered it, and I got the letter back. Said, your poem is going to be published in this book. That was it.
Okay.
I received the book. My poem was on the front page. I was like, yes.
And what was the title of that poem? Do you remember?
It was something about life is in the title, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I was just so excited. I bought a few copies. I'm signing my autograph and everything. That was the moment.
That was the feeling. Yeah. And then, to unpack that a little bit more, when you presented that or let other people see it and you had that sign, like, how did that feel?
It felt like I was here. I was here. My voice matters now. And people were excited. My parents were excited. But I had something tangible that I could hold and I can say, this is me. Whether if it would have been on the front page or the last page, I had something in it with other people too who were writing about their childhood or whatever they were writing about. That was the moment where, as a 14-year-old, I would say 13-year-old, where I knew that writing was going to be it for me.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So, back to the publishing part, how should we, when we come to you and say, hey, Jason, I would like for you to help me publish my book of poetry and stuff, what specific guidelines do I need in order to pass that off to you to get it done?
What I would tell people, or what I do tell people, is do your research.
Mm-hmm.
We might be friends, but if I am able to offer something or not able to offer something that you want, that's fine, because not all publishing companies are the same. So if someone wants to work with Amazon, I am not your person. That's just something that my experience, nothing bad against them, but my experience won't allow me to do that. So after you've done your research and you still want to work with me, then we will make sure that you have whatever you want or need for your book according to what plans and goals that you have as the author. I'm just the person alongside you, helping you to get your book out into the world. So my first thing would be to do research. And if a person doesn't really believe in themselves, I can't believe in it more than you. So that has to be on the same level, because then I end up supporting your work more than you.
Yeah.
And it's this is your work. I'm the fallback. So
okay. So do you do any editing in the process with your publishing company, or should the writer bring it where it's just totally been polished to as good as they could get it, and handing it off to you to be published?
Yes, I have a team of editors that go over work, and never wanting to take away from the author's voice.
Right.
So that might mean a comma here instead of a period, but it wouldn't be changing a word that the author would want unless, there, and there. It has to be the right version of the word, but never taken away from the author's
their intention.
voice. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So what separates? So what do you think is separates you? Separates your publishing, your process from, say, Amazon or other publishers that are out there for young authors that are looking at this now, thinking about getting their book published?
I am not focused on a bestseller. I'm focused on the best version of that person for that book. It can be a numbers game. Would I like to sell as an author 1 million copies? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's a fight for how many bestsellers a person has, or who has copies of their book. I was at Giant Eagle once, and a lady who had bought one of my books turned around and said, "Hey, I have your book." And I'm kind of like shying away, like, "Yes, I have it. Yes, I'm glad. Thank you." So I'm always humble. I'm always thinking, thank God for what He's allowed me to do,
Right.
to be in this space to do it, and never get to a point where I'm better than this group or better than this person or better. My company's better. It's not about that for me. It's about helping people be the best version of themselves and their art in that book at that time.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, how long does it take? So once you got everything formatted and stuff like that, how long does it take for the book to actually be printed, and I can start getting my copies back and start promoting me?
Yeah. So that depends on the author and how fast the author works.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But once you get it, how long does it take for you to print it? And
so I could have a book done 3 to 5 days.
oh, that's great.
So not very long at all. From a writer's standpoint, I wanted the company to be, if I have a company, how would I want it to be? So I make sure that I provide the author with sample copies so they can see what it looks like before. And actually, before anyone spends any money with me, any financial investments, I provide a sample book for them so they can see what it's like before they decide to spend any money.
That's valuable. That doesn't happen everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, because it's not about that for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to make sure that I show the author, let's have a creative relationship, so you can see what I'm able to provide. And if it doesn't work out, best of luck to wherever you go for your book, and I'll buy a copy because I believe in what you have going on.
Okay, sounds good. So before we get out of here, though, for our audiences and listeners that are viewing and listening to us, what do you have going on yourself that's coming up that you would like to share with everyone? So what are some things that are coming up as far as projects for you that we could look out for?
So today there's a program at Night Stage, 2 o'clock, 2:30. But I'll have a book coming out April 26th. It's called The Zoo of Humanity. And it talks about how we can be, or how we are humans, but we also have the ability to be animals too, in our thinking, in the way that we treat people, in the way that we treat each other. I call myself out a lot in this book, and also call out the world, the systems that we have in place, in hopes to recognize who we are, and we have the ability to be better than the person we were yesterday, but we have to put in the work. We have to be willing to put in the work, to challenge ourselves, to make ourselves better, our neighborhoods, and our communities better. And those who are ready to do the work, let's go and let's make it happen.
All right. You want to repeat that title again for us so we know to look for it in there?
Right.
It's called The Zoo of Humanity.
Zoo of Humanity.
Yes.
That
and
sounds
I'll make sure
amazing.
you all have a copy too, because I appreciate everything that you all
I'm
do.
looking forward to it. Well, thank you, Jason. It's
you,
been
Diane.
great listening to you
Robert.
and your wisdom and sharing with us on the process of writing and just your own personal journey and what it really means to dig deep within yourself and be able to be vulnerable enough to express it to others. So thank you so much for coming on the Black Pen Podcast.
Yeah.
And we're going to make sure that we get all your information out there.
Absolutely.
And Robert, how do they do that?
Well, I mean, we want to just thank all of our viewers and listeners for just tuning into this episode. And again, thank you. It was just a great conversation and just a snapshot into who you are. Because I feel like sometimes people are mysteries,
Right.
especially in our own city. Yes. So it's just good to be able to see your voice and hear the things that you're passionate about. And we do want to thank the Knight Foundation for helping make this podcast possible. But you can check us out, Facebook, Instagram, Black Artist Guild, and then also online at www.abaguild.org. And click on, be a member, check that site out. Also, check and see our newsletter if you want to get information and we want to stay connected with us. That's a way to do that. And we're just looking forward to the future of what you're doing and excited for you. And we just thank you for being on here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. And this is a voice we're going to be enjoying for a long time.
It is.
Thank you.
All right, pens up.
Oh, yeah, where's my pen? All right, pens up.